Hi, my name is Sudeep. I'm a filmmaker and photographer. I've been making films for over a decade, and today we will talk about how to make your first film. In order to demonstrate this, I took a trip recently to Ladakh and I shot a bunch of footage on my phone, and I've put it together in a short trailer for a travel diary of sorts. I did this in Resolve, DaVinci Resolve, which is a software that we are going to be demonstrating and using. So you're going to be learning how to import your footage, how to put your clips together, how to make selections and weave together a storyline of sorts and export it out as your first video. So come, let's take a look at the project. Great, so that's a short trailer that I put together in the software called DaVinci Resolve from my travels in Ladakh. All the footage that I've shot is completely shot only on my phone. DaVinci Resolve is a video editing software. I like to use it for a number of reasons. Number one, it's free. It works on Mac and PC. There's links to download DaVinci Resolve in the important links section below, and you should be able to get the DMG or the exe file from there. This particular project has been set up in Resolve, so if you want to have a look at how I put this together and access to the project, you can download the project file itself. Great, so once you have opened up the project file in DaVinci Resolve, as you can see, I have all the footage that I've shot on the left-hand side here. And the bottom you have what is called the timeline, which is where we will stitch the clips, the footage that we've shot together, and add some music and add some titles to make it look a little professional. And on the upper right is the preview window, where as you put the edit together, you can preview it all coming together. So let's take a look at some of the clips that I've shot here, which I've used in my travel diary project. If you would like access to these clips, I have provided them in the project and resources section below. Now, I've shot all this footage on my phone because a phone is an easy capture device and I was traveling at the time, right? But you could use a DSLR, a mirrorless, or even a compact camera to get great quality footage. However, it doesn't end there. There are a few things that you need to keep in mind to make sure that you get good quality footage to use in your edit. Number one, make sure that you shoot at the highest resolution that your device supports. This makes sure that you end up using the best quality footage in the edit and your final film looks all the more professional. Number two, make sure whatever device you're using to capture your footage is stabilized well. That means if you're shooting handheld, breathe slow to make sure that you don't end up with shaky footage, or better still, use a tripod, or if you want to travel light, use something like a GorillaPod. That'll help you get really stabilized, nice footage and good clips to use in your edit. The third thing to keep in mind is light. Light is super important when you're making videos, and you want to make sure that your subject, your environment, or whatever you're shooting is lit well. This means, obviously, if you're using natural light, then shoot at times of the day where you have the sun out, and that really makes a difference in how your videos can pop, and it really makes color and contrast really pop out in the final clips. In case you have to shoot in low light or at night, supplement that with some form of external lighting. So you could use a light bulb, you could use a street lamp, whatever you have handy to supplement that so that your footage is not too noisy or grainy, because it gets really difficult to clean up grainy footage even in an edit. These are a few tips for you to keep in mind, but to up your shooting game, I've put together a few more good clips and good shooting practices which are available in the important links section below. So please make sure to go through that. Great, so hopefully you've downloaded all the clips from the resources section and you've got hold of the DaVinci Resolve project file as well. So why don't we start setting up a project and getting our edit ready. So fire up Resolve, and once you do that, you'll see this dialog box come up. The first thing you do is click on New Project. Let's name our project Travel Diary and hit Create. And now once you do that, you'll see the Resolve interface opens up. The first thing you need to do to start your edit process is to get your clips into Resolve, and to get your footage in there. So let's do that. I have all my clips selected here, so let's just drag and drop them into the media pool. All right, so I have this dialog box that's come up and it's talking about the clips having a different frame rate than the project settings. For now, just hit don't change. We have more content and more videos on frame rates and more detailed stuff around resolution and quality and things to keep in mind when you're setting your camera settings. All right, so now as you can see, we have our clips in the media pool in the upper left. So what we're going to do is we're going to go right at the bottom, and as you can see, Resolve has these different tabs right at the bottom. You have Media, Cut, Edit, Fusion, Color, Fairlight, and Deliver. Now usually when you're editing in Resolve, you go from left to right. So you start with Media, where you ingest your media. Cut helps in kind of organizing your clips, but we don't have too many clips here. So we can directly go into the Edit module, which is what we're going to be working on today. So once you hit Edit, this is the Edit interface. On your left-hand side, as you can see highlighted, you have your 8 clips, and these are all arranged in the media pool. You're able to see 2 windows. The left window is called a clip preview window, and once you hover your mouse over the clip, you can see you can scrub through footage. So you don't have to actually play the entire clip. You can actually just hover your mouse over the clip and scrub through footage. And that's what shows up in the clip viewer window. What we're going to do now is we're going to learn how to make selections of the clips that we have shot. So double click on one and have it come up in the clip viewer. You can also scrub through a clip just pulling the playhead with your cursor as well. So I kind of like this section. You know, I've shot some of the mountains from the sky, and I think it'll be a nice clip to open with. But I don't want to use the entire clip because, you know, later on I zoom in and you can see a little bit of the airplane that I shot this from. So I only want one portion of this clip, right? So how do we do that? Take your playhead to the point where you want to start your selection and hit I for in. Take your playhead further to where you want your clip to end and hit O for out. So now you can see that in your play window, you have a certain section of your clip that has been highlighted. Now this is the portion that we are going to drag into our timeline. The timeline is what you see at the bottom, and that's where you arrange all your clips and you start making somewhat of a narrative. So the timeline is where all your edit work is going to get done, right? We're going to be putting clips together, we're going to put in some music, some text as well. So for now, you can drag and drop your clip onto the timeline. Now as you can see, as I've dragged the clip, it forms 2 layers. On the left it says video and audio. So there's a video portion and there's an audio portion as well. For the purposes of our trailer, we're not going to use any of the inbuilt audio. So we only want the video portion of this clip. So I'm just going to hit delete on that. And if you notice, as I hover over the clip viewer, you have these 2 icons at the bottom. So what we're going to do is hover over the video icon and just drag that down. And now you can see I've only dragged down the video portion of my selection. So go ahead and make your selections for all the different clips, and let's arrange some clips onto the timeline before we move further. So I'm going to move to clip 2, and it's this lovely slow pan of a Himalayan lake. Just going to make my selection there, hover my mouse over the video icon, drag the clip below. All right, let's move to clip 3. This is a slow pan of the river Indus. So again, I marks your in point, O marks your out point. Hover your cursor over the video icon and drag it below. So I'm just going to do the same for the rest of the clips so that we arrange our clips in a certain sequence. By marking the in and out points, it also allows you to use different portions of the clip and not just one. So you may actually have a clip that is, say, a minute or more in duration, and you may want to use just a few seconds of different portions of it. So this is where this part of the edit process comes in handy, for you to make individual selections from each clip. So for example, here I have a clip of Pangong Lake. The water is extremely clear, and this is just a shot of the water followed by a slow tilt up. So I could actually use just a section showing the clear water to begin with and move that onto a portion where you see the mountains come in view. There. So now, as you can see, we have all our selections of our clips lined up on the timeline. So the next step to this is we're going to import some background music. I've actually picked out a music track for you, and it is also available in the project and resources section. So why don't you go ahead and download that and import that into your media pool exactly how I showed you earlier. So I'm going to select this. It's called the Chill Lounge 26-second edit. Just drag and drop it straight away. And there, as you can see the waveforms, and you can see that the music track has come in. It looks different. You can see the green waveforms, and you can also scrub through this or select, double click for it to load in the clip viewer and for you to be able to play it. Great. So now when we're working the timeline, as you can see, you have the audio section in the lower half of the timeline and the video section is the upper half. We haven't imported or we haven't dragged any audio into the timeline yet. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to make a trailer that is edited to this music track. So just drag your track down onto the timeline and place it right in the beginning of the timeline. Notice that your timeline viewer, which is your upper right viewer, also has come on now, and you can actually scrub the timeline to preview clips or portions of clips that you've placed on the timeline. This is going to be useful for us now as we trim and arrange the clips to music. You can scroll left and right to see different length of your timeline. There's also zoom in or out buttons out here underneath the timeline viewer. So what we're going to do to begin with is we're going to pull these clips a bit away from each other to give it a bit of space. Now, as you can see, our music track is exactly 26 seconds, but the clips that we have, or the portion of the clips that we have on the timeline, is much longer. So we need to trim these clips so that they align and they fit in with the music. An easy way to be able to trim clips is to listen to the music and look and listen out for the beat. So let's listen to what this sounds like. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Being able to count beats in music is really handy when you're trying to edit video clips to music, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now. All right, so let's go in the beginning, zoom into our timeline so we can make precise edits, and play. So I've identified that I want to have a clip change here. And the way for me to trim my first clip is to take my cursor right over the clip, and as I approach the edge, you can see that the cursor changes from an arrow, and just hold down, drag and drop your clip all the way for it to hit your playhead. And that's how you trim a clip. So now our clip is trimmed down to match 1 bar. Now as you can see, I've trimmed this clip, and there's a bit of a gap between my first clip and the second one. All you need to do is click on the gap, hit delete, and your second clip comes in and lies right adjacent to where your first clip left off. So let's start trimming these clips now. Now here, I actually need to arrange this so that I need to expand my selection. So I'm not trimming down, but I'm expanding the selection that's on the timeline. And an easy way to do that is, again, as you bring your cursor between the two clips, you see the cursor changes, and I can actually expand my clip. So just done that. Let's see what it looks like. An easy way also to make sure that your clips are aligned to the beat is to also look at your waveforms and look out for the peaks on your waveforms. That's a good handy visual guide for you to know if you're on the right track and if your cuts are to beat. Okay. Another way for you to trim is to drag the next clip and just drag over, and it automatically trims the clip that comes before it. So yeah, there you go. Now for my last clip that I have here, I want to make a bit of an adjustment. I want to trim the beginning of the clip, so because it has a bit of shake in the beginning, as you can see. So let's avoid that. So just pull this in and drag it. So I'm actually quite happy with how that clip ends with the music. So I'm not going to use these two clips that I had dragged onto the timeline anymore. An easy way to get rid of them is just select them, hit delete, they're out of your way. So now we have imported our clips into the media pool. we have made our selections in the clip viewer. We have dragged our clips and our selections of the clips down into the timeline. We imported a music track, put that into the audio section, and now we have just gone through this whole process of trimming and arranging our clips to our music. Let's see what that looks like. Great, so now that we have all our clips imported, organized, we've made selections of our clips, we have brought them down to the timeline, we have arranged them in the sequence that we wanted, and we have trimmed them to music. Let's add some titles. So to add titles, go to the upper left, and right next to the Media Pool tab, you see Effects Library. Click on Effects Library, and at the bottom, select Titles. Now, under titles, you'll see titles and fusion titles. Fusion titles are animated titles. They're out of the scope of this video, but we are covering this in another video. So for now, we will just stick to titles and a simple text title. So select the text tab and drag and drop that onto your timeline. And as you can see, you have a title slide in beige in video track 2. Which sits on top of the footage, as you can see here. And if you scrub over your timeline, you can see the word title that has come up floating above the clips underneath. So when you're putting clips together, as you stack clips on top of each other, the clip that's right on the top is what's the most visible. So which is why we have the text title right on the top. However, I want to limit this and trim it only to my first clip. I don't want it to roll over to my second clip as it is doing now in my timeline, right? So just as how we trimmed our clips earlier, we're going to select our title clip. Just roll over to the end, see your cursor change, and drag it in. And as you can see, it just snaps into place. Right. So now we have trimmed our title slide, and we will change our text. The easiest way to do that is just to double click on your title clip. And as you can see, you have all your formatting options available here. So you have title, you can select your font, the color, the size, add shadow, add stroke, change the background. Let's just simply add in a title. So I'll just say Ladakh, India, because that's what we're looking at. And I'll change my font face to something a little bit more modern. And instead of an ultra light, just go with a bold. How's that? Great. So let's see what this looks like. Great. So now you've got all your clips organized, you've made your selections, you've strung them together in a nice narrative, you've added in some music that's really appropriate for the style of video you're going for, and you've added in a title. So all the pieces that put together this video diary for you have come together in Resolve. Now let's look at how we can share this with the world. So go to the extreme right tab that says Deliver right at the bottom. And once you hit that, you can see your timeline as you were seeing earlier, but the interface has changed. This is designed for you to easily share and publish your video. And at the top, you can see there's a number of presets that are available for you. So I want to export my video to YouTube. So I'm going to select the YouTube preset. And here you can see I can name my file. So let's call this Ladakh Travel Diary. And as you scroll down, you have all the technical information in one place right here. It's a 1080p, so it's a full HD video. Your frame rate is 24. It's a QuickTime format. Everything else looks good. Add to render queue. And now it asks you, where do you want to save this, your final video? So I'm just going to save it on the desktop. So it says Ladakh Travel Diary.mov. Hit save. And as you can see now on your render queue, which is on your extreme upper right, you have timeline 1, which is queued up, ready to export. All you need to do to export this out is just hit start render underneath that and hang back. You can see the playhead playing through your timeline, and there it shows that it was completed in 4 seconds. So let's head over to our Finder and check out our exported video. Great. So now you know how to import your footage, how to scrub through your footage, arrange it, trim it, sync it to music, add some titles, and finally export it for online viewing. The best way to learn anything is by doing it yourself. So I would really encourage you guys to use your phones, use your cameras, whatever device you have handy, to go out, shoot a lot of footage, bring it into Resolve, go through the processes and the steps that I've followed and shown you in these videos. And yeah, make your own short films. I also have a live class where I go into all aspects of video production and video editing, right from storytelling to composition to even color grading, which would help your videos look a lot more professional. Thank you for watching this video. Hope to see you soon.